Hello, my friends. Welcome to episode 49 of the Make Music Income podcast. My name is Stevie B. I'm here with Eric Copeland. We're almost there, man. We're almost at number 50, but we're not quite there yet.
Your bags packed yet?
I got my bags packed and ready
for Hawaii.
To head to Hawaii very soon.
Oh, it's going to be a glorious beach.
It's going to be a lot.
Podcast number 50. And we're going to let everyone join us. Everyone gets to join us. We're going to live stream it. And I don't think we'll be able to do it on both channels, but I think we can do it on my channel. And we can both be live at the same time and invite people in. And so we'll have to do some advance invitations. That'll be a week from So yesterday was 21st. It'll be 2 weeks from then. Oh, that doesn't help me any at all.
So it'll be on Monday the 28th. Monday the 28th. That's where we're going.
No, this will be on Monday the 28th.
Right. Sorry. Monday. It'll be on Monday, December 5th.
Yes, Monday, December 5th, a day that shall live in infamy.
I got to change my plane tickets. Anyway, we are on episode 49 right now, and what we want to talk about today, we want to explore the idea of selling your music. And I don't mean selling your music as, just putting it on to non-exclusive libraries or even exclusive sync libraries. I'm not talking about that kind of sell. I'm talking about selling the rights to your music to libraries. Or anyone for that matter, whereby you are essentially giving up the rights to it completely. You don't own the master recording anymore. I want to explore this concept because a lot of people ask me about it, and it's been on my mind lately. It's something that I've actually been doing for quite a long time now. I don't do it for every track, but it's something that I've been involved in. It's a process that I've been involved in for many years. So I want to talk about some of the pros and cons, and just the different types of contracts that exist out there, and and what we think about them, and just we want to talk about some things to consider before you make the decision to do something like that. I think before we get into that, as usual, we're going to just do a little weekly recap, although it's only been, we're taping this a little earlier than normal, so it's only been about
for them,
5 days.
It won't matter. A full week for them.
That's right.
Well, I am still in the midst of finishing up a lot of songs. I have and still heavily composing for a library album that they want 10 songs for, and I've got about 7 of them, and so I'm trying to finish that up. And then I have committed to doing a Christmas piano album. And so about half of that is done. I mean, it could end up being an EP if I just don't get it done for whatever reason. But I'm calling it an uncommon Christmas because it is totally weird. Either old songs that not many people know are Christmas songs, or songs that are just unique arrangements of these kinds of Christmas songs. So another one just went up to Motion Array today. Another one should be hopefully getting in the library here in the next few days. And then I'm putting them up to DistroKid, so they're going out. One has already gone out to Spotify and all that, and then another one's on its way. And then probably 1st of December, before the big 50th extravaganza, Hawaiian extravaganza for our podcast, I'll have the album out, or maybe it should be before that. But anyway, I am looking forward to putting that out and getting another album for my Quiet Soul piano brand out, and fresh album. And I've got another one of piano hymns. I just haven't put it out, and so now I've decided to push that off till right before Easter time, because there's a lot of Easter hymns in that. So cool. I'm just going to wait for that. So now I have 2 albums coming out over the next 6 months on that brand. Let's see, dozens of songs I'm working on. That's what I'm going to be focusing on this weekend is that, along with some videos. I have 2 videos coming up. One is for DistroKid that is actually about DistroVid. So I'm doing an experiment with that. And then today, I uploaded 2 songs to Taxi,
Oh yeah.
and for a certain thing that I thought I had songs that fit, and it may end up being the last 2 songs ever uploaded to Taxi.
I think my membership's already run its course.
Mine goes dark tomorrow. And so
Well,
I
that's
thought
good. You
I
got
thought
some
I'd
stuff
slip a
last
few
minute.
in before under
Yeah.
the wire,
Why not?
but I'm doing a video about that too. It's already written, and I'll be talking about that, which is I think is going to be a good video um, for Taxi, and or what are the other options other than Taxi. We've talked about it a little bit here, but I'm going to talk about it a little bit as far as it relates to me, because I'm the only one I can talk about. I can't say how it works for other people, but there have been other people. You and I have talked about it. Other people have talked about it and asked me what they think they should do, and well, what I think they should do. And I tell them, hey, this is what I am seeing and what is happening with me. So I'm going to make my just final case and say what I think. It's not going
Hmm.
to be bad. It's just going to be the truth. And kind of a little like Dave's video. If you saw Dave Cross' video about leaving Taxi, it's pretty much the same reasons.
Hmm.
But I've also want to talk about what I'm going to do instead. I think, when you're talking about $200 a year, if you get the discount price, and then $300 a year in $5 payments, which is what I averaged over the past 2 years. I'm pretty happy that I did. If you average it out, it's about 20 a year songs that I pitched, which is not a lot. I mean, it's almost 2 a month, but I still think that's not too bad for as busy as I am to try to do that. And many were written for the briefs. But anyway, that's happening. And I think that's enough. I just have so many videos to get to, and
Hmm.
I have company coming in tomorrow. My son is coming in, and so we're going to be partying the next 3 days and having a good Thanksgiving time here. And then the weekend, I'm going to get back to work and hopefully get a new video out on about this same day, about today or Monday or Tuesday,
Cool.
one of these new videos. So we'll see. I've also got a video kind of explaining the whole sync success again. I found out something even more interesting that I text you about the whole the BMI check that I got, and one of the TV placements is really interesting. And so I'm going to cover that on the video too, because it's something that we can't verify from anyone, but I can
Yeah.
verify it now. And I've been asking everybody, oh yeah, I've seen that before, I think, or whatever. And now I have, physical, or I should say, written proof that it happened. So I'm gonna talk about that in my kind of sync. I don't know what it's going to be called, but another video. I'll probably do that one first because it doesn't require a lot of production, so I can get it out, knock it out this weekend, and put it out Monday or Tuesday.
That's cool. I have some.
Continuing to talk about that whole thing.
Yeah, I got. Yeah, I'm curious about that. I was going to ask you about it, but maybe I'll hold off so that you can talk about it in your video.
Yeah.
But that's cool and interesting. Yeah, I got so many video ideas for once in my life. I'm usually struggling to come up with video ideas, but I've been like writing ideas down in this Google sheet of like all these videos I need to get to, and
I know I have a list.
I got a lot of I got a lot of things to talk about coming up over maybe the next month into the new year too. But yeah, man, I've been really challenged lately. Not only it's fitting challenge for the academy right now with like the make your making a track without any VST
Yeah.
instruments or whatever, but that's a challenge in and of itself. But I think I'd mentioned to you last time we talked that I've been working on these like folky sort of love songs for Artlist, and man, it's really challenging me. It's like I don't know why I'm struggling with them so much, but
Did
like
they ask you to write these?
yeah.
Ask them.
These are part of like an originals project, and I already struggle with the words and to some extent, but I can get it done. But like trying to make like a folky sort of authentic sounding track with with VSTs for one thing is very difficult to do. I had a chance to record some like live instrumentation in my friend's studio, which is really nice. But now my time is up for that. He's back in town. He's back from tour. So I'm somewhat limited on my resources. And, I sent in a track for like some feedback just yesterday. And my contact at Artlist got back to me with like a lot of feedback, more than normal, you know. So usually like it's pretty smooth sailing. He's like, he just has a few things to mention, but this time it was like, no, there's quite a few things to chat about, and I'm at a point where I basically have to kind of re-record everything I did, which is it's a real struggle.
Do you think you're overthinking it? Maybe.
Well, sometimes I think I worry that I am, and other times and I've been actually I've been really, I think, successful in not overthinking things too much. And I think that's the whole point with the process with the originals, because you do 3 rounds of feedback, right? Like you send in an initial idea and it could be very rough, and they encourage that. And then they give you a lot of points back about it. So I tend to, overdevelop things, and now I've gotten myself into a bit of a pickle because I'm realizing that I have to like start from scratch again. So it's a lot of time, right? I'm trying not to overthink it. I ended up like adding a lot of things and then just stripping it back and realizing, I should just send them like a bare bones idea. Certain things like, I get things wrong, and it's like, that's totally normal, like, tempo and the, the cadence of certain phrases, the way things are delivered. It's just, sometimes it doesn't work. And man, it's not like I just knock it out of the park with every track I sit down to write. And
Stevie B is human. Just FYI, it's out.
It's out of my comfort zone. Doing this kind of stuff is out of my comfort zone. Writing like folky love tunes is not the first thing it's probably not my forte. Yeah. But it's good to be challenged, man. And it's like, it's a little stressful sometimes, but it's really, really good to be challenged. I know that I'm going to be happy about it when it's all said and done. So, that took up all of yesterday almost. I spent about 6 to 8 hours on that track, and now I got to redo it. Sent a lot of stuff out also yesterday to various different libraries, trying to push some new material out there. I had a really interesting conversation with somebody over Instagram that got in touch with me about Pond 5. I can't remember how our conversation started, but he mentioned that he makes about $300 a month on Pond 5, which I think is significant for Pond 5. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, dude, I was like, send me a link to your catalog. I want to know what you're doing. It's like, would you be into that? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. He sent me his profile. And what he does is really fascinating. It's like, okay, we talk about this before with Pond 5. It's like the things that work on Pond 5 are generally very stripped back, I find. Like, it's not like super produced stuff. And he does a lot of edits to his tracks, and they're very, very simple tracks. They're good, they're well produced and well mixed, but they're very simple. They're not like grandiose. They're stripped back. They're lean, and he sells a lot of lo-fi hip hop, and what he does is he makes these edits that are just long loops. Some of them are like 10 minutes long, and he says those sell significantly well, wow. Sometimes better than anything else. And I thought it was really, really interesting. And he tells me talk about overthinking stuff. He's like polar opposite. He's like 30 minutes done the track wow. in 30 minutes. And he's like, he mentioned that he was he was living abroad with his girlfriend or something at one point, and he would just like sit down, with his portable setup and just crank out these tunes. And he's got 500 tunes in his catalog now. So a lot of things were like, a lot of things that we suspected about Pond 5 were verified in that conversation. Yeah. Volume of your catalog is important. Just strip back stuff works, and also lots of edits. And these are things that we've been chatting about for a long time. But it definitely kind of like reinvigorated my interest in Pond 5. It's like
does he group his edits? Does he group his songs together? On the thing where you can have them group them together.
That's a good question.
The edits follow the song. You should be able to tell that by looking at his catalog.
Oh yeah, maybe.
I'll look into that. You go to a song, you can see the other edits right underneath that. That'd be interesting to see, because there's been people who said you shouldn't, and then there's people who, to me it seems like a good idea, but there are people who say, oh no, you want them to be able to search and find your song, and if they can find it
Right.
all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's been a really, really slow month for me on Pawn 5. Even the $5 stuff has just sat there, no sales. And it could be that all my new stuff that I'm putting up, Christmas stuff, I've changed that to higher price, because if people start buying Christmas music, I would hope they will buy that. But that whole marketplace is in such flux for normal tunes. Now, for him with the long loop tunes, that might be his moneymaker. Because I think with the subscription really taking hold now, that's going to change the way people buy stuff at Pawn 5, I think.
Yeah, we'll see.
I don't know.
I didn't ask him if he was part of the subscription thing either. That's something to ask him. But anyway, interesting conversation. In other news, I just had a conversation with finally with the head of marketing at Cubase, and man, what a cool dude. And what a cool company. These guys are so open-minded and just so awesome to deal with. And they've been really
Steinberg, right?
Steinberg's, Cubase, and I just really enjoyed the conversation I had with them. And he's so encouraging and open-minded about the ideas that I had, and very receptive to my my take on what I thought as a Logic user, coming from Logic, what could use some improvements, and like what I've been struggling with. I'm going to start a series throughout the next month. I don't know when it's going to go live for them. You might not even see it till next year. But I'm going to do like a hip hop series. So like they don't have a lot of hip hop content. They have like a lot of rock and pop kind of stuff. But anyway, so that I'm going to sort of fill that gap for them, and probably going to do a series that's going to come out on their channels. So I'm really excited about that.
To be clear, you didn't have to switch to PC to do Cubase, right? You could have done all of this on Mac, right?
Yeah, I could have done it all on Mac. Yeah. I installed it on my Mac, and it ran fine. Didn't have any issues with it, but wanted to take advantage of my beast CPU
Stevie's
power.
Beast.
Lastly, MIDI and sample packs are selling very well. Sometimes there's these weird spikes that happen on productionmusictools.com. I don't know where they come from, but
you think it has to do with cyber whatever?
Yeah, well, that's what I was just going to say, is that right now, like if you're when this podcast comes out, it'll be the last day of the sale. So it's Cyber Monday, and right now everything's 30% off your entire order on productionmusictools.com. I sent out a little notice about that over email, I think. And anyway, if anyone sees this, it is still active. Go get your sample and your MIDI packs. I got lots of different stuff there that might be of interest to you. And I guess this will be the last day of the Black Friday sale. I think everything's going to start tomorrow. That's when I'm going to start rolling out these discounts for Academy membership too. But I shouldn't be saying this, because tomorrow, when this goes live, is going to be Tuesday, and so I'm just going to confuse everybody.
No, Monday. Monday will be Cyber Monday.
So when this comes out, is Cyber Monday, and this today, I'm pretending like it's the future. Today is the last day of the sale. Go get your discounted membership.
I think I'm going to run some specials too. I'm trying to finish this ebook, and I would love to put it out about a week from now. So maybe today I'll be announcing. But I also have the mastermind though, so I'm trying to figure out how to announce these both, because I'd like to give some like pre-sale on the mastermind course that I'm getting ready to do with people.
Yeah, nice.
So I will have to see how my week rolls out, and if I've got time to finish that ebook and get it presentable. And then I've also updated the stock book, so that might be the first thing, or maybe both. I don't know. We'll see. Give people a lot of sales choices.
A lot of sales. There's so much stuff going on. I'm going to make my Black Friday video.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch it.
Okay, so let's dig into the topic a little bit for today. Been looking forward to chatting about this, getting your thoughts on it. Where to start? Occasionally, I pitch my music for non-exclusive licensing, and I get a counter offer from Artlist specifically for at this point in time. for buyouts of the track. And this is happening to a lot of people who are applying. And there's so many questions and things to consider before agreeing to something like this. And a lot of people reach out to me and ask me for my take on it. So I thought it'd be a good chance, just to clear the air here on this podcast. First of all, the first question that you have to consider is how much are you giving away exactly? Every contract is a little bit different. I know that Artlist is not the only library out there who is buying out people's work. I think there's someone actually told me that Audio Library does this too.
I don't know who that is.
I think it's a.
Oh, you mean audio with II? Or
no,
IIO?
not the double IO. It's called Audio Library. I'm pretty sure.
And I think Hook Sounds does this.
Yeah, Hook Sounds
as well.
Epidemic.
And of course, Epidemic, the one that I would probably have the most to say about. But
Yeah.
Hook Sounds also, I've talked with them before, and it depends on how much they're going to buy them for, which is not very much.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and I think that probably some sync and production libraries out there do the same thing. I'm sure that there's others out there.
maybe.
And every contract is a little bit different. And I can't go into the very specific details of the originals contracts because I'm not supposed to. But I will say that all the music that I release with them is still distributed under my name. And it still gets released on my Spotify account.
Which you get money from.
Yes, we share in the streaming royalties. So but the most important thing to consider is
Do you
that
do that through DistroKid?
No.
Or
They are the distributor. I don't know who they distribute it with. So they collect the
But they
streaming.
put it to the Stephen Bedall.
That's right. That's right. So this is something really important to consider because I'm entitled to the exposure from the track, which when you think about it is really kind of the most important thing in terms of like the long-term growth of your career. Perfect example of that would be, I've mentioned on this podcast a few times that a music supervisor reached out to me because they found one of my tracks on Artlist, really liked it. And I had to tell him, and it was kind of a painful moment. I had to tell him, look, I don't own this music anymore. I sold it. And he's just like, okay, well, that's fine. I'm still gonna, it was still used, but it's not like that connection wasn't useful because I was able to make a connection with this music supervisor and say, hey, I'm glad you like this music. Can I send you other stuff that I do? And he's like, absolutely, of course. This guy's, he's working on, big productions like, popular TV shows. So, yeah, on some level, a little bit painful that I'm like, I have to be like, hey, I don't own this music. Like everything has to be done through Artlist. But at the same time, it's still under my name. And that's probably the most important thing for me. Now, a lot of people, I think they fret about the idea of selling their music and they worry about like, should I do this? Like, and I think one of the reasons that people get kind of tangled up about it is because we are, I think by default, emotionally attached to our work in a lot of cases. And that's totally natural. The first thing I tell people when they ask me, should I sell it? I'm like, okay, well, let me say first of all that if you think you're sitting on a hit or like if you're think you're sitting on something that you think is going to change like the world, it's going to blow you up, or if you are extremely emotionally attached to it in some respect, don't sell it, man. Don't sell it. It's that simple. And if that's not the case, then think about a price that's going to make you happy. And if that price doesn't make you happy, departing with the rights to the music, then don't do it. It's really, really that simple. So what do you think about that?
My thoughts are, first, it's the first advice we tell anybody in music. You don't sell your songs. That's what we usually tell people, right? That's the first thing when somebody says, oh, I can't wait to write some songs and sell them. I'm like, well, you really don't do that. You license your music or you get it published and you share income with a publisher. But what you're talking about is music written for hire, pretty much, or at least they want to they want to hire you by buying out the song. And it's not like I've never done this before. I've done this for corporate companies. I've done this for different artists from time to time, but usually not. I mean, I don't, 1% of my career has been doing this kind of sales thing. Now, I don't have a ton of royalties coming in to prove that I've been doing it the right way, but I have made hundreds of thousands of dollars producing people and including my songs for free. So that was the trade out while I was a producer, is that I didn't take a percentage of them because I wasn't going to chase whatever percent of hundreds of artists that would quit eventually anyway, and then try to catch every penny from every album they sold. That would have been a terrible idea, because if you're thinking that as a producer or a composer, that I want to make sure if I produce anybody that I get a percentage of everything, unless it's something automatically collected, like from DistroKid, which is that's the smart move, is if everybody be with DistroKid and then just release it together under both of your names and everybody gets their rightful share automatically. You don't have to how many albums do you sell? How many downloads did you sell? You don't have to go through that whole thing. But getting back to the whole thing about selling out your music, I have another thought that is completely different than you never sell your music. And that is, it's just a song. I mean, I've written literally probably, I'm sure, thousands of songs, whether they're finished or not or whatever. But, technically I have about 1,000 that I could name and show you on a spreadsheet. But there's been tons more for albums I've forgotten. And I don't sit at night and go, oh, what happened to those songs? That I could have had a good one that was out the door. You know what? My next best one is going to be the one I write tomorrow, and then I work on this weekend, and that I write and put out next year. Those are the best ones that are going to come. There are great ones that I've made, but the next one's going to be better. And if someone comes in and offers me even $500 for a song, I have to look and say, how long is it going to take me to make $500 with that song? Just knowing me. Am I going to, because you could always say, oh, this could be the one. This could be the one that makes my career. I heard the other day someone say that the person who lives on dreams is I heard the greatest quote, and I said it to myself. I should have written it down, but it was basically, living on a dream of something happening is the same as that dream never coming true most of the time, and you just wasting your time. It's a wasted dream, basically. I can't remember the exact name, but it was so great. It wasn't even attached to music, but it was awesome. But the bottom line is that I think if it's a good price for you at the time, and look at your hours spent on it, look at what you've done and what it could bring you. How much is it going to make you in reality? Is it going to be something you're pitching to sync as part of a library? Well, then it might be important for that use. But if it's just going to Pond 5 and somebody wants to buy it for $500, I'm selling it. I don't care that much. I'll just I'll make its brother tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that's the way I see it, kind of.
There's so many interesting thoughts in there, little nuggets to consider. And actually, I'll tell you about a bad deal, what I consider to be a bad deal. And this is it's really funny, because the very first library and the very first exposure I had to doing music, stock music kind of stuff, was a while before Audio Jungle, actually. Even though I kind of tell everyone I started on Audio Jungle in a sense, I kind of started a little bit before that, but it was a unique situation. I worked with this library that was doing direct buyouts for tracks, and they hired a bunch of producers. I was one of them, and I was very green on producing at the time. I wasn't very good at all. And he needed some folky. They needed some folky indie kind of stuff, like Lumineers type things. And their buyout at the time was $400 per track, $400 US. Okay, but the deal was that they bought everything. Your name wasn't on it. it was owned by the library, and they and they even set up like a fake like account and like an artist. It was really strange the way they were doing things, but anyway, it was working for them at the time. So my name wasn't on it, and I was not allowed to collect any PRO back end at all. So they just took everything. It was a complete and utter total buyout. And at the time, I was like, $400 US a track, sweet. Like
and
I do.
How many tracks total did you do?
Well, well, here's the thing. It's a long story. I don't want to get too deep into it, but my math was like, okay, I can quit my job because I'm going to do like 4 of these a month or like 1 a week. And then I can like, pay the rent on that. This is a long while back. Right. And I couldn't pay the rent on that anymore. So I was like, yeah, I'll get into this. But the thing is that like I would send them these tracks all the time, and only like 10% of my tracks would get through the gates because I just wasn't a very good producer at the time. I was sending them a lot of junk, and they would just get back to me. They're like, no. And my plan of quitting my job and doing $400 tracks,
the dream disappeared.
The dream evaporated very quickly. But like at the time, I was just like, I don't care. I was like, I don't care if my name's on it or PROs. Like, what's PRO? I don't care. I was like, $400. Give me $400 a track. Like, I'll crank one of these out every week. And then I was like, in my mind, I was just like, once I get good enough at it, I'll do like 1 a day, and then I'll be rich. And so. But like it's so funny looking back on it now because it's such a raw deal, It's like this music that I'm putting my heart and soul into. It's like I don't get to claim anything from it at the end of the day. It's like it just disappears into the void and becomes someone else's work. And looking back on it now, I'm just like, man, I would never agree to that at this point. Now,
and eventually, that is no different than the producing work that I did for decades, where all I did was make other people's dreams come true,
right,
and get paid for money.
Right.
I neglected my own music. I mean, obviously, this is your own music that you're giving to them, and you're giving to them, but at the same time, you don't get to celebrate it. You don't get to do anything with it. Mm-hmm. And that's part of the joy of composing, is to be able to show people and say, hey, this is my newest thing,
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, a lot of people would consider, the idea of selling any rights to your music whatsoever to be like completely sacrilegious. And I think that to each their own. At the end of the day, that the one thing that I do have to consider over here is that I have to pay the rent. Like I don't have like a day job. I write music full time, so I have to consider that. Okay, Artlist is a big chunk of my annual income, and they pay out royalties annually. So that puts me in a bit of a tricky situation, because it's like, okay, well, I have to, unless you're willing to wait around a year to get paid for some of your work, like you need to pay the bills on a monthly basis. So at this point, I'm perfectly comfortable with the idea of doing like work for hire contracts. Where I'm getting paid out, and I say bye to the master recording. But to me, it doesn't seem like a bad deal, because I'm still able to claim responsibility for this work. If it ends up, no matter where it ends up, I'm still going to get credited for doing the work. So I think that works for me, and there's still royalties to collect on the back end from it. So for me, I'm comfortable with it. And I think it really trips a lot of people out. And I think that, one thing that you mentioned too is like the amount of time that you're putting into this stuff. It's like, if you're not being compensated for the amount of time and energy you're putting into it, then that's I don't know, it might not be worth it. It's like, I think like if you put in like a month into this like beautiful piece of work, and like you really you hired people, you did all the things, and someone's selling it to you for wants to buy it out for X amount, that X better be it better represent the amount of love that you put into it. So I think that that's something to consider as well. Not just how emotionally attached you are to the music, but like how many actual hours did you put into this track? So
I
Just
think
a thought.
also if we look at it from an artistic standpoint, and we look at not just music, but we look at books, if we look at paintings, if we look at any other kind of art that people are doing, um, the term ghostwriter has been around for a long time
Mhm.
for people who write under a pseudonym. They write this, and they get paid by a company to write like a certain author, and then they put that author's name on it, and they do not put the ghostwriter's name on it.
That's
And the
right.
ghostwriter, and this happens not just this happens in music too, actually, but it's all about, the person getting paid to do work that sounds like somebody else, and nobody knows that you did the work to make that book, to write that whole book, and but yet you're taking the check to the bank and going, hey, I'm a writer, I want to write all the time, and I get paid to ghostwrite for in the style of this author, or paint in the style of this painter, or I
Yes.
mean, you could go on and on about different kinds of art that exist like this. And so it's doing work for hire and getting the money. I mean, we both have hired in the past this year singers and people on Sound Better, and they are used. And I haven't always, and usually I am not now, crediting them at all in the song. I don't
Yeah,
even put featured them.
totally.
They're just a voice.
It's yeah, it's fascinating because like I almost felt uncomfortable when I approached the Sound Better singer, being like, "Hey, like just so you know, like here's a contract saying that I'm not going to credit you." And I almost felt like a
Yeah.
bit of a a mean guy,
Jerk. Yeah.
but they're
Like
so
the jerk
they're
usually
totally
you
they're
are.
totally they're totally used to this, right?
Yeah.
Like and it's crazy because like you could totally understand it if it was like a drummer or like a guitar player. They're like, yeah, I don't care, but singing and vocals is such a central
You're
like
the
focused
lead.
part of a track,
Yeah.
and like to give that up is something else. So but you're absolutely right. This same situation is you can draw parallels to all different mediums. Like for example, Leonardo da Vinci, like only painted like when he was in his prime and doing these incredible paintings. Like he had a whole team of like background people that would like
Yeah.
do the background for him, and he would essentially produce the painting in the sense that he would be like the creative direction, and he would
Yeah.
do the most important parts of it, and like he would put the final touches on it. And it would all be under his name. But the people don't
Yeah.
realize that like a lot of these famous painters, they had people do like they had like assistants and a team and apprentices underneath them that would do some of the the important like menial work, like do like draw the backgrounds and stuff. This happens in music too. The big producers, they hire a team of people to just generate ideas for them, these people are not credited. I mean, it's like
But they
Hans,
are paid, and
and they are
they can,
paid, of
it can
course.
help support their families. And
Exactly.
so,
Exactly. So you have to take those things into consideration. It's like, yeah,
yeah.
I do need to make money here. And I like the fact that I'm paid to do the thing that I'm good at doing. It's it
Yeah.
feels good, and at the end of the day, I still have my name on it, and that's a fantastic deal for me. And I try to strike a healthy balance between the music that I write that I'm going to sell, and the music that I'm going to hold the rights to. Just for example, like like Artlist just offered a buyout of my track the other day, and I said, hey, look, would you consider this for your non-exclusive catalog instead? Because I'm trying to exactly what I just told you, maintain a healthy balance between the work that I own and the work that I sell. And they're just like, absolutely,
Yeah.
no problem. We totally understand. So you know, there's a
And
balance to be
really,
met
at the
there.
end of the day, it probably makes as as much sense for them to take it non-exclusively as it does buy it out. I mean, maybe they make a few more bucks, but they're still going to make bucks as a non-exclusive deal too. And I'm kind of like you. I am purposely writing a lot of stuff that's non-exclusive. That I'm not going to put to And it's stuff that really wouldn't work with exclusive libraries anyway, and write very focused things. And this is why it's so easy for me to decide content ID. People are always saying, should I put stuff in content ID? Should I not? Should I put it up to this library, or should I not? Should I put it up to stock libraries before I pitch it to sync libraries? I'm like, you can do whatever you want with it, especially on certain libraries where it's easy to take down. It's going to take a month to get it in there anyway, so you can have it on Motion Array and Audio Jungle and Pond 5, and all this to say that you can do a lot with your non-exclusive, but there are going to be times when you just have to sign that. I mean, a lot of people feel the same thing about selling a song, quote unquote, selling a song, as going into a perpetual contract with an exclusive publisher or exclusive library. They think, oh, I am really signing this thing away forever. I can't do anything else with that. And you cannot. But that's where preciousness comes in. You just have to say, okay, that's just another worker bee doing its thing. And it could be that a company like Hook Sounds or it can't be Epidemic, because the problem with Epidemic is the whole BMI thing, is the whole PRO thing, that you cannot be part of a PRO to put your music in there. So I don't know who is doing that. They must be talking songwriters in from the very beginning before they even get into licensing. But even you would think before that they've got PRO links. I do not know how they get composers.
The only thing I don't understand is they must have
quit.
They must have a tough time finding composers who aren't affiliated with PROs. It just seems like it's a strange thing.
It really is.
But yeah, who knows? It's very odd that we don't have anyone in the Discord server who's ever worked with Epidemic. We've never spoken with anybody who's worked with Epidemic.
But from the author side, from the video maker side, who wants to use Epidemic, from what I understand, they have a huge library, much, much bigger than Artlist.
That's what I've heard too, and that's something that I just realized just the other day, because our buddy Tony sent us a Reddit link, and it was really interesting to see that. I don't know for sure if their catalog is much larger, but it seems like from the user end that it is much larger. Anyway, it's fascinating. And
I think that's another thing to remember on this whole thing, is that, again, we are composers in service of the users of this music, or the listeners of this music, or the libraries of this music, and we have to go by the deal that they offer. And if they offer a buyout deal, it's just like the Epidemic thing. If you are a new composer, you've been composing, you haven't joined a PRO yet, you have to make the decision. Do I give these songs to Epidemic, and they're going to pay this much for each one, or whatever their deal is, and I'll never get credited, and I'll never get back that song. I can't do anything with it, and I can't ever join a PRO. I mean, boy, those are some restrictions that you have to really think about.
Well, I think they at least put it out under your name. Like you get on Epidemic, it's under your artist name. But yeah, like the PRO thing is a mystery to me. I just don't understand how they find songwriters who aren't affiliated. It seems like most songwriters are aware of the benefits of signing up with a PRO. Anyway, but yeah, I think it does come back to our conversation about preciousness. If you're writing it for yourself, if it's for you, it's your own masterpiece, and you have a very specific type of emotional attachment to the music, then maybe don't sell it. That would be my advice. Don't.
Yeah, if you're going to take this to the Los Angeles Opera House and premiere it as a composer and get all the accolades that go with that, likely this isn't for selling. Music is not for you, but I bet
it might not be.
Sometime along that composer's career, they've composed for hire, and even as a ghostwriter, maybe. And so we've all done work, and especially even composing work, for people where we weren't going to have all the credit. Somebody else was going to get all the credit, and we were just going to be a background member of that particular deal. And guess what? We took the money because we wanted to get paid. And all musicians do it. All the Nashville musicians I've worked with, they still would rather get paid a day's rate to go and play 2 sessions or 3 sessions than play it for free for back-end money. Right. They're not interested in back-end money because they know indies aren't going to have any back-end money, and maybe even middle majors may not have any back-end money. They want that 600, that 800, whatever they're getting paid for the day today, that they can take home and put in the bank.
Well, back-end money is elusive, and like you've just just talked about on like the last podcast, it's like it takes a long time to get those, to chase down that back end money. So
iffy.
People got bills to pay. They have mouths to feed. They got families to take care of. They got to get some money up front occasionally, and I'm exactly the same. And so that's my thoughts on it. I'm not sure what else to say about it, really. I think that the idea of selling your music is kind of interesting because it forces you to sort of divorce yourself from the emotional attachment to your work on some level. But I think that's something that we already do anyway as producers of licensing music. Like you said, it's like we're in a service industry here. I'm not sure what else to say, really. I mean,
and this may not happen to you very much in your career. The odds of running up against libraries, or at least the percentage of libraries that ask for this is probably small. Yeah. I would say 25% or less are going to ask for this deal, maybe 80% or less, maybe 90% or less. I mean, any library you work with is looking to work with you long term and split everything with you. I mean, that's the majority I've found. I've only got in touch with one or two ever that wanted to just buy your songs out, and even they are sketchy-ish. When you look at their sites and you're like, maybe how much a song?
that's always.
But it does.
So wait, how much are you paying me?
If like you say, if you could get into a deal where you're getting $250 a song, then it's about scale. Can I do 10 of these a month and make $2,500? Well, then to me that's fine. I just they're throwaway. They're not throwaways. I still enjoy doing them, and I'm still going to make quality. But at the same time, they're just songs that are bringing in income, just like all the hours that I spent producing people brought in income.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's just work that you're doing for somebody and getting paid. So I think it's totally up to you. I think for the most part, you should watch everything about that kind of deal and be very, very careful about that kind of a deal and think about your future and the time and if there's further income with that song. But and this is probably going to hit composers who only have 30 songs the hardest. If you've got hundreds of songs you've done or thousands of songs you've done, you're not going to worry about this that much because nothing's going to be that precious,
Seriously, yeah, that is a good point. Yeah,
and that's what young songwriters don't understand, I think.
Yeah, another thing to also say is just like you gotta understand your contracts. It's amazing how little people want to actually read through the fine print. Some of it, depending on the contract, it could be pretty like legalese, which is pretty painful to read. But you should understand the terms of your contract, and you should ask for clarification from some person who sent it to you if you don't understand anything. So understand the terms, look at the fine print, know what you're getting into, and I think that's a wrap. That's a wrap for me.
Yeah. Do it if it's right and if it makes sense for you, but most times you won't have to do this. And like with just like your example with Artlist, you can sometimes reorganize the deal. But if you can't, and that's the way they do it, then you need to make the decision if your time and is worth it. And if it is, and you can spare the songs and you create more, why not? Yeah, so totally. It's going to be a totally personal decision per deal.
Yeah, it is. It is personal. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Well, thanks again for listening to the podcast, and we'll be back next week, a week from today that you're listening to this with our big 50th anniversary show. You'll want to listen and watch that on YouTube because we're going to tell all our audiences we got to see how many folks we can get. I mean, we need to get at least 50 people in the stream if it's our 50th anniversary. That's our goal.
That would be great. That's our goal. Get your questions ready. It'll be like an ask us anything kind of deal,
We might go I thought maybe we might even go through all our podcasts and just bring up each topic and say, do you have any questions, and go through our because people have asked, or we could go through our questions on our podcast because there's tons of them.
Yeah, true.
So join us next week on that. And I think that'll do it for me.
Okay. Awesome. See you guys next time in Hawaii.
Next time.